Let's go to Tim right now, joining us live. Tim, thank you so much for joining us here on Right Side.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about the Michigan, election results and Al Saeed's policy implications for November.
Yeah, he is said he's not part of the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America movement, but he 100% aligns with everything they espouse to want to change what they believe in and the policies they want to push forward in our country. And I can tell you that he cannot divorce himself from that. And all of the stuff he's put online in the last many years, when he ran for governor, as an example, back in 2000, I think 18, he's a socialist. He wants the government to have more and for you to have less. He wants the government to take you from cradle to grave. And our organization, Americans for Prosperity Action, has endorsed Mike Rogers in that race. And his policies want to put more money in your pocket, more freedoms, more opportunities for Michigan families, American families. And Al Saeed is completely the opposite. He's bad for America. You don't fundamentally want to change something that you love, and he fundamentally wants to change everything about our country.
You have said it perfectly. And I remember watching, I think it was AOC, maybe Bernie Sanders, just those kind of characters at Al Saeed's kind of campaign events. And first of all, it looked very fabricated just from looking. I don't have receipts or evidence. It's just an opinion of mine. But when you watch some of it, it just seems like, I don't know, it looks like paid stuff to me. Just the way even the people are holding up their phones, acting like Bernie Sanders is some big star, acting like it's this big rock star event. We don't have to get into that too much, but tell us about the Americans for Prosperity, because when did you start it? Why did you start it? And tell us a little bit about your story, sir.
Yeah, Americans for Prosperity has been around for about 22 years. Started as an organization that wants to, in simple terms, reduce the size and scope and the interference of government in American lives and families to create more freedoms and opportunities for businesses and families. I actually learned about Americans for Prosperity when I ran for our state senate several years ago. They endorsed my campaign and unfortunately didn't win. It was a very blue district around the Ann Arbor, Michigan area. But I decided that I want to stay in the fight and keep working for freedoms and opportunities. So I applied and got the job, and here I am. Our organization is the largest center-right, nonprofit, nonpartisan grassroots advocacy group in the country. We work in all 50 states. We have physical offices in 39 states, and every day we're out building communities, talking to people, letting people see the importance of their voice being heard in the political and the policy arenas, giving them the tools and the talents they need to do that. And we work again in all 50 states. It's a great organization, so we get to push back against some of these crazy policies that people want to push through.
For you personally, though, what was it that got you involved in politics?
As a business owner, I owned a business building and remodeling homes for 20 some years with my brother. And seeing how the government intruded in that business and made it harder to make money for my family and for our employees and for our subcontractors, pushed me along that path. And then COVID happened and a few things in my kids' schools that pushed me more and more towards wanting to have a seat at the table when decisions were being made that so dramatically affected my life and my business. So after COVID, when COVID hit, I got involved with a group that was doing some collecting signatures for a petition drive in the state. Got involved in touch with several state lawmakers, and I guess they saw my work ethic or my intestinal fortitude or whatever it is, and they asked me afterwards, have you ever considered running for office? And I said, yes, I have. And they said, well, we need you in the state legislature, so think about running. I did, and I left it in God's hands. My duty was to run hard and do everything I could to get elected, but the outcome didn't happen exactly how we wanted it. But it brought me here, and I think I have a bigger impact here than I would have had I been elected in a minority a couple of years, 6 years ago, or whatever it was, 5 years ago.
Kind of more of an off-topic question. I know I can tell that you're on the right side of history. You're brilliant. Is there anything on top of what you're doing now that you feel like is even more extending to the purpose of why you're on this earth?
Well, I believe God created all of us with unique abilities and talents to, speaking religiously, further His kingdom, but to build into people, and in my case, recognizing that our founding fathers started this country, built this country, put our founding principles and documents together based on, quite frankly, godly principles. And I want to continue to push those through. I don't want people to come in and destroy those things that have helped us be the world's greatest nation for 250 years. Those principles work. We all were created and endowed by our Creator with certain unique gifts, abilities, and talents. And I want the government to get out of the way. I want the government to say, you know what? You're right, Mr. Joe Blow from Idaho. You can build a business, and we're going to let you do that. We're going to get out of your way, and we're going to let you create wealth for yourself and create freedoms and opportunities for your family. And the government, quite frankly, screws up everything it touches. And the bigger it gets, the smaller we get. And I want to change that. I want to change the trajectory of that. And I want more people to come help me do that. And that's why our organization, again, works all across the country every day to build people, to build into people, to give them the tools and the talents that they need to affect change in their communities. Because if you go down the path of socialism, capitalism, or excuse me, communism, like El Said wants to go to, we will see that vanish. And, you know, when the Berlin Wall came down, I didn't see anybody running towards the communist side. They all ran to the freedom side. And that's what I want people to do. I want them to charge forward and knock down those walls, remove those barriers. And we do that every day here at Americans for Prosperity.
That's awesome. I believe a lot of people are resonating with what you just said there. Isn't that a great point? They did not run toward the communist side. They said, hey, that side has freedom. And that's what we're hearing. I mean, President Trump at various rallies at the end talks about the Save America Act, but then he also really, the messaging sounds like going ahead in about 80 days from now for the midterms, on the ballot, socialism, communism against freedom. And you're working hard there in Michigan and impacting lives for God's kingdom, but also for this great country called the United States of America. What was that like for Freedom 250, America 250 for you when we celebrated our 250th last month?
It was great. And our organization is putting events on across the country every month. Different states are having big A250 events. We did a big one 2 weeks ago on the shores of Lake Michigan, actually, a couple hundred people just celebrating the greatness of this country. And to me, I was around in 1976 and remember that anniversary and the patriotism and the love of country and the celebrations and the red, white, and blue everywhere. We've lost some of that. And I want to get that back because God gave us this country and has protected this country because we've honored him for so long. And I want people to get back to that. We don't all have to believe the same way religiously. I'm not saying we do, but our country has been successful and prosperous and fantastic and great and all those wonderful adjectives you can add to it because we stood on the principles that God created every person with unique ability and talents and gifts, and they need to use that. And the government needs to get out of the way and let us do that. That drives me every day. And I hope at the end of this year, there's a higher level of patriotism, a higher level of love of country, and people get behind the fact that our voice does matter. Every vote matters. Every vote counts. And I look forward to getting up every day and helping people realize their American dream by having a voice.
My love for country knows no bounds. That's a quote that I saw just yesterday from the late, great Rush Limbaugh. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Our love for this nation, and a love for freedom, a love for what it's all been built on. Sir, you're a rock star. You're awesome. This is the first time we've met, and it'd be great to have you back on the program sometime in the future. Tim Golding, the Michigan State Director for Americans for Prosperity. Thank you again for what you're doing out there.
Looking forward to joining you again soon.
That'd be good to see you. Good
Thank you.
stuff.